naked guys everywhere orgy.
I'll never forget the first time you told me this story. I was dying.
I was so shocked, not because I didn't expect that sort of thing to happen there.
Well, no, I mean, it's a public toilet. You wouldn't expect that
Ryan,
to happen there.
It was 6 p.m. on a Wednesday.
That's the point. Welcome to Pod 2.
Welcome back.
We're, yeah, it's the same day.
It is the same day. That's why I'm wearing the same shirt, by the way.
We're going to be completely transparent. It is the same day.
Yeah. So we don't know if you checked out episode 1. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you left some comments. Hopefully you like, comment, subscribed and shared on Spotify and all that good stuff.
Subscribe. I just realised we didn't actually say that at the end.
We didn't. That's a shame.
That is a shame.
That's a shame.
Missed opportunity, really.
Missed opportunity.
But Pod 2, the way it goes, it's back. It's Ryan. It's Dan. What more could you ask for on a Monday morning?
Exactly. Monday at 5 a.m. every Monday.
God, that's early.
It's too early. I'm not up at that time. If you guys are up at that time, I'm so sorry. But hopefully you're listening to us and you're getting inspired about what to do with your life. Either that or you're just laughing at us, which is fine too.
Not knowing what we're doing with
Not knowing what we're doing with our lives, apart from recording this. So, yeah.
Yeah, good times. Good fun.
Good times.
Yeah.
So, let's briefly talk about what we covered off in the first episode. So, we basically talked about things that you learned in your 20s. There's quite a lot of deep discussion in there. Hopefully, it resonated with someone. If you watched that first episode, if you didn't, I highly recommend you check that out. Hopefully, we'll have some clips up on TikTok, Instagram, tweak.podcast across all socials.
Yeah. Hopefully, you enjoyed the first episode. Again, like we said last episode, we're just looking to give our insight to regular guys, just chatting and
talking about life,
making
fun of ourselves
and things,
trying to guide people in the right direction, even though we don't know where we're headed ourselves.
Yeah, again, like I said last episode, chaotic little goblin.
So yeah, I mean, we're winging this, we're winging life, and we hope that you guys join us on this journey. In terms of today's episode, we're going to be talking about our first jobs in the city. I think this is something that there's a fly. I think this is something that when you leave school, like a lot of people end up doing it. If you live anywhere near London, near Manchester, Birmingham, one of the big cities, whether that be here or worldwide,
or even rural, to be fair.
Yeah,
even if you find that a lot of people have moved in, like from rural places into the city.
And they've moved away. They've moved back from uni or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one, and that kind of leads us on to today's main topic as well, which is imposter syndrome. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like when you feel like you don't quite fit in or you're not in the right place. So I think. Again, the podcast, like the podcast, the topics kind of blend quite nicely in with each other. Yeah,
because I think there is that real sense of imposter syndrome when you're getting your first big job in the city.
100%, yeah. You feel so out of place when you first.
You really do. I mean, like for me, when I first got my first office job, I walked into that office. Now I guess I speak quite common.
Yeah,
I guess.
Bit East End geezer.
You know what I mean?
Sight life,
geezer. I speak, I would say, quite common. I don't really speak properly in terms of pronunciation, stuff like that. So walking into the office for the first time, and everyone's like lived in London years.
Yeah,
picked up the
that's
accent.
a bit daunting. Yeah,
I'm kind of just stood there like, "Oh, hey everyone, all right." I will never forget the first time I said "all right" to someone.
Yeah.
Now me and you, all right.
That's what we.
All right. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. No, that's not what you're supposed to reply with.
No, you're supposed to just say all right and move on.
Yeah, you're not supposed to reply with.
We're not engaging in conversation.
How are you?
Who do you think you are? Yeah.
And that's the first thing. Like, pardon me. Like 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking in with my coffee.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, I'm not too bad. How are you? I do not have the capacity for this conversation.
Something you will learn about both of us is we are not morning people at all.
God, no.
And you know what? This is probably why we don't do those jobs anymore.
No.
But yeah, first big job in the city. I think it's something that I wanted to talk about in the pod just because I think a lot of people, upon leaving school, leaving college, leaving uni, whatever it might be, it's where you gravitate because that's where the money is and that's what everyone's doing socially, and it seems to be like the end goal if you live around where we did. So
I think that's kind of it's where uni pushes you, it's where school pushes you. It's like kind of like it's this common misconception that if you don't get a big job in the city that it's a failure. It's silly.
It's not always the way though, is it?
No, I mean, it really isn't.
We covered this off a little bit in the last episode where we're talking about how you don't necessarily have to have a traditional 9-to-5 job like what we're doing here. Obviously isn't. This is completely different to that.
No, this isn't.
But also not only that, but there's other types of jobs that people have that aren't necessarily central London based. A lot of people now as well, something we've got to remember is things have changed so much since we went into the world of work, especially because of COVID. A lot of people now work either remotely or hybrid. I was having this conversation yesterday actually with, I phoned up Sky to do my renewal, right, of all that.
I bet that went well.
Yeah, all that adulting. Spoiler, I didn't get much discount because cost of living crisis. Anyway, besides the point. Point is I just, while making conversation with the lady on the phone, I said, are you working from home now or do you work in the office? And she said, oh no, we're all hybrid now since COVID. And I have that conversation a lot, and a lot of customers that I see in day-to-day life at work and all different things that we do, that seems to be a really common theme, is that people now do hybrid roles. So I think it's changed a lot in terms of city life and structure. But I have also recently been up to London I had a business meeting, and I also went up to meet a friend and have some dinner and catch up with her. And I saw from a social point of view that things really haven't changed since when I was up there.
No, that I went because before I left my last before I left my office job, I went hybrid, and that was part of like their phased transition back to the office. And then eventually, I think everyone just sort of agreed that it was a good idea to just do 2 days in the office and the rest at home. Unfortunately, I was in IT, so I wasn't able to have that luxury because I was needed on site more than I was at home.
Fair enough.
So a lot of people it was like 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. And I mean, to be honest, I see that being the future. I see that like being the norm.
I do as well. It's very different to when I first started. So I first started in the city when I just left sixth form, so I didn't go to uni. I went straight into an apprenticeship. So I worked for a big company in London as an IT analyst, and the job itself was relatively dull, nothing really exciting. It was very...
Those password resets, man.
Oh, yeah, account extensions. How it goes. So anyway, we've all been there, done that. But yeah, it was a case of, so it was about an hour commute into work for me, which I took by bus. Obviously, it's bus or train getting into work. I'm very much I like my own space. I like my own car. I like commuting by car, which is what I do now. I'm very lucky. But, and also now the Elizabeth line's come in. That's good stuff.
Can we just sidetrack for a second?
Yeah, can we
talk about the Lizzie line?
Although there are lots of works apparently coming up on there, so there's been this whole thing online of, oh, this is terrible and blah blah blah.
That's okay. Like, well, I mean, it isn't. But can we just appreciate how good the Elizabeth line is?
Yeah, do you know what? It's like teleporting in comparison to using the southeastern services that I was used to. It's amazing.
You're in London in about 5 minutes.
It's bliss.
Over the summer. I went to a lot of gigs in the summer.
Yeah.
And having that aircon on that train.
I know, makes all the world of difference.
God, honestly, it was so good.
Even recently, when it's just been a little bit stuffy, like when it's been humid and that, even then it's bliss. And it runs all the time. It's so quick. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. It's one thing commuting up to London if you don't like commuting. Like I found that really challenging. Coming from sort of like an external part like outer London and then commuting into central. Yeah. You kind of got to listen to a podcast, or you've got to listen to some music, read a book. Like you've got to do something to kind of keep your mind active on those commutes, because it's really depressing, quite frankly, sitting on a train with loads of other people that are also looking quite tired and sad. That's something I did struggle with.
I struggled with it just purely on the basis of like it's the same journey every day.
Yeah,
but it's weird. I do the same bus journey every day now. Not nearly as boring
No.
as the train journey.
Yeah, I can see that, because at least the bus, you see a bit of variation of stuff going on around you.
And the thing with the train journey is that not like sometimes I'll get on my bus and it's completely empty. I can just sit down, pop my headphones in, and that's it.
Yeah. And do you know what? Some people thrive off it as well. Like, I've spoken to so many people that say, I love working in London because I love the commute, because it gives me time to read. It gives me time to listen to this and that.
Exactly that.
I can understand that as well. Personally, not for me, but I can see that perspective.
And I think that for me, when I was doing either a commute from London or my commute now, having that time to just put my headphones in and zone out, it was really like a decompressed time.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm just thinking, oh God, I feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
I get home and I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to talk to people.
Yeah, because you've had a bit of time out. Yeah, you've had a bit of time
I'm ready
out.
to talk to
Makes
people.
sense, yeah. I think, though, you've got to be prepared for the city itself, the city life. And it's a very different pace. It's a very social thing. There's a lot of people who want to do a lot of activities all the time. And if you're a little bit introverted, like myself, you'll probably find that you struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah.
I certainly did. But I'm going to segue, just for a laugh, into a bit of a story about an experience. Yeah, about an experience that I had. I've told you this one. About an experience I had in the city. And this isn't necessarily relating to working in the city, because I wasn't at the time, but I'm going to tell the story anyway, because it really summed up for me what city life can be like.
Go on.
And that is the Soho story.
Oh God! I honestly didn't think we'd get into that this early.
No, I think I want to get into that just because it's a good one to keep the folks entertained. So I'm gonna preface this story with, I'm not one to judge these situations at all. You do you, boo. Like I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about the contents of this story. It's just quite an eye opener for me when I was in the city. So
I mean, it was quite a shock.
It was quite a shock, yeah. So, story goes. So, I was with my girlfriend at the time, and this was during COVID, and we decided that we were going to go on one of these Christmas lights tours. You couldn't really go out and stay out in the, pubs and clubs. It was all shut still, but you could go outside and you can kind of mingle at this point. So, we decided to go on this black cab tour. It was a guy we knew. And he provided snacks and drinks and that kind of thing. And we went up to London, and he stopped off at all the different sites, and you could take pictures with the Christmas lights and all that. It was a nice activity to do, because we'd all been stuck inside for so long. So we had a really lovely time. And one of the stops was Soho, Carnaby Street, which of course is well known for lots of like really busy bars and stuff. But at this time, obviously not so much because of the situation. Yeah. So it was quite tough, obviously, getting through COVID. It changed a lot of things, changed a lot of perspectives.
Yeah, definitely did.
That's something we can go into in a future episode. But yeah, so I decided whilst we were at Carnaby Street, I need to go to the loo. I think you can probably see where this is going. So
I don't think they will.
Possibly, if you know Soho, you know Soho. But I went into the public toilets at the end of Carnaby Street, and I walked down. There was a queue of people waiting, and I thought, oh, this is going to take forever. So I stood there, and I was kind of just like on my phone, and I was looking around and this, that and the other. And I noticed everyone's taking a little bit of a long time. And when I looked at the guys who were standing at the urinals, I thought, this looks a little bit suspicious, what's going on here. So, I'll leave that there for your imagination to fill in the blanks. But I walked around the corner, and what I walked into was an orgy, a full-on naked guys everywhere orgy.
I'll never forget the first time you told me this story. I was dying.
I was so shocked, not because I didn't expect that sort of thing to happen there.
Well, no, I mean, it's a public toilet. You wouldn't expect that to happen there.
It was 6 p.m. on a Wednesday.
That's the point.
Like, if it was like, do you know what I mean? Like, if it was like everyone was out clubbing and it was like one of those things, obviously there's a big scene in Soho for like the gay bars and all that kind of thing. They've got loads of really cool stuff up there.
Yeah.
If it was like, I don't know, midnight on a Saturday,
you'd kind of expect it.
Yeah, like it's known for that sort of stuff in the area.
It's something to be going on.
Yeah, but 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, my dude, like that I struggled with, like, because I thought, again, they're entitled to do what they want to do. Like these people that go to these events, whatever, like that's cool. but it's a little bit steep at that sort of time. I mean, imagine a kid walked down there and walked into that. Like, it's plausible, isn't it? So
I guess it's plausible, but I guess it was obviously organised, right?
Yeah, it must have been. Must have been. It was busy.
So I think there would probably have been some sort of. You should probably find someone else.
Maybe there was someone.
I'd like
around.
To think.
Yeah, I would like to think so. I would hope so. But yeah, so that really opened my eyes to what city life can be like, because you wouldn't get that anywhere around where we live. Like, it doesn't, that sort of public. Sort of thing wouldn't really happen. I'd imagine it's quite common in the big cities and stuff like that. Like, they arrange for these meets and stuff like that. Cool. Obviously not my cup of tea, but if that's what people want to do, then fair enough.
You do
you, baby boo. So that really opened my eyes to, like, this is just like, these people have just finished work and they're like, cool, I know what I'm going to do.
I mean, how else would you relax?
Yeah. Don't worry about the podcast on the bus. Just go straight to an orgy in a public toilet.
To an orgy.
Yeah. So
why not?
Yeah, but, I mean, obviously they didn't believe. I came out of the toilet having not gone for my wee, and I said to my girlfriend and her stepdad, I was like, "Yeah, you'd never guess what's going on in there." And they was like, "No." But I got home and I got into bed, and she sort of turned to me and she was like, "You all right?" And I was like, I still can't get that thought out of my head.
A bit shocked.
Yeah, I'm still shocked. Can't get the thought out of my head. So, I mean, it just goes to show, like, anything goes in the city. Like,
anything can happen.
Yeah, and not only that, but there's always a social event going on. There's always big parties. There's always, like, massive events and clubs that are open 24 hours, all this kind of stuff. And it's really awesome for that sort of social aspect.
Well, you say that. I literally just went to a club about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, what was that?
Face Down.
Oh, yes.
I'll name it.
Yeah,
Face Down.
Yeah.
It's a great alternative club.
Nice.
Honestly, amazing time. They put on a killer show.
Yeah,
they put on such a good, like, the alternative room was I in spates of memory.
Yeah,
remember just belting out Black Parade.
Yeah, nice. All the old classic songs, and it's all such feel good.
Getting into mosh pits.
And again, this is the sort of thing that isn't really a thing around where we are. Like, that's a big city thing. There's some things you do really just have to go into the city for.
Well, I mean, you've got some clubs in some of the places near us, but they're not. They're not nearly as good.
Bit grotty.
Bit, I've spilt coke on my carpet situation, you know.
Yeah, sticky floors, the classic local club,
the
cheap
classic,
drinks.
Yeah, cheap. Well, you say cheap drinks.
Vodka Red Bulls flowing, you know.
Vodka Red Bulls are cheap.
Yeah.
Everything else
really expensive. Yeah.
Like, I remember when we was up there, we paid for a drink, £44.
What?
For a round.
What, each? What? I was going to say.
£44 for a round.
44 quid, yeah. It gets so expensive. That's another thing. London prices, you know.
Exactly. London prices. Like, it's London. We're cool with it.
Yeah.
We kind of expected it to be as much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Taylor's voice went up several octaves.
I can imagine when he heard those prices.
It's like, how much was it? £44. Sounded like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, back to kind of the topic we were talking about in terms of.
We digress.
Yeah, we digress. Yeah. I just wanted to get that story out of the way because it's such because it's so like I tell people and they're so like, what? Like, how did you even get into that situation? But it's a funny one. And yeah, it just always stuck with me because I'm like, anything goes here. Like, which is cool in a way. Like, it's like nice that people can express themselves in the way they want to, and that's something you do see a lot in central London and other big cities. Yeah, that's one thing that is really nice, is seeing people just do what they want to do,
just be authentic,
and be them, regardless of age, gender, sexuality, whatever. Like, they just do what they want to do.
100%.
You see that a lot in Brighton as well. Brighton's a great place for that.
I love that place.
Yeah. It's amazing because it's anything goes, and because it's always a bit like a student town as well. There's so much to do. But yeah, in terms of getting your first big job in the city, I think it's all of that stuff. Imagine all of that stuff for the first time. Like, it's quite daunting.
It's overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming for the senses.
I remember my first tube journey.
Yeah, not knowing what to do.
Not knowing, and this, I preface this with, I've been on the tube before.
Yeah.
But my first tube to work was, because I'm like, am I on time?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I know
You're
they're
stressing about 1,000
I'm like,
things.
I know the tubes are every 2 minutes, so that's fine. But my train, have I missed my train?
Yeah.
What time do I get my train?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
There's someone listening right now who's like stressing about what train they're on.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll be fine.
bad.
You'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there on time. Don't worry. That meeting, don't worry about that meeting.
It's got your name all over it.
It's got your name all over it. You're going to be there. You're going to be there. You're going to be the star. But yeah, like I remember my first tube journey, and I'm just sitting there and thinking, or standing more appropriately.
Yeah, it's too busy.
I was thinking like, God, I've got to do this every day.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I was quite lucky because my first job or big job in the city, it was I could get to it from my house by bus and bus alone.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
the quick. It was quicker if I was to get a bus and then a tube and then whatever. It would be quicker, but
I know that bus journey. And
yeah,
God,
I could.
That's a long bus.
It is a long, especially in the winter when it's cold.
Yeah.
I remember just getting up in the morning. I dreaded going in, and I really disliked my job in the city. And this is why I found it an interesting topic to bring up, because I think for us, it's not our scene.
It's not. It's definitely not my scene. But the thing is, like, I enjoyed my time in the city.
Just for the experience.
Just for the experience. Like, I did enjoy my time up there. I think for me, it was more the job just wasn't for me. Like, that side of things.
And sometimes I don't think you don't gel with the job. Like sometimes you go out into the big wide world for the first time. It's like, cool, I'm earning all this money in the city and I've got all these opportunities. And of course, there is all these opportunities. But for me, as someone who I consider myself like really empathetic and really emotional, I find it too much of just a treadmill. Like, I look around me and I just see all these faces that I'm going to forget in 10 minutes time, and I don't feel any emotional connection to any of it.
The thing is, my first job in the city was during COVID.
Right, which obviously makes an impact as well.
So I had a year there, and then the second year, halfway through the second year was COVID.
Right.
And then my third year was coming out of COVID and going back into the office again.
Yeah.
And that was, we lost a lot of staff. Don't worry, they didn't die. It was they just left. We lost a lot of staff, and I remember my team was 3 people.
Yeah.
Going into COVID. Now,
you're feeling the strain.
For those who have worked in first line IT support, you know how much stress it is with a full team. With 3 team members, now bear in mind this company that I worked for had over 6,000 staff. I'm dealing with all of them. Yeah. 3 people. And the stress was incredible. And I think that's probably half the reason I was like wanting to leave. But yeah, no, I liked the job and I met some good people. Yeah. I was quite lucky in the office that I worked in was quite a relaxed environment. But my God, was it one of the most stressful jobs I've ever had.
I find it draining. I think that's the thing. And so when I left my job in the city, I went back to the previous job that I had, which was local to us, right?
Yeah.
And there's such a difference in people, because the people that you meet in local jobs are of local value and they have very similar experiences in the local area to you and kind of stuff, and that's why you feel you connect with them. The fascinating thing about going into the big city is it's so diverse and so multicultural, and there's people from such different areas, different backgrounds. That's really fascinating because you really get to know some people that have such different stories. But at the same time, I almost felt a bit of a disconnect because people's lives were so different to my own that I'm very much like a home comforts, like a creature comforts person. I love visiting places and learning stuff, and I love listening to people's stories and, you know, like learning about people's cultures and things like that. Like, I absolutely love all that. But what I found really hard was there wasn't someone that I could just chat to about the local area or, you know, what pubs we were going to at the weekend, or, you know, that's what I struggled with. I struggled to connect with people on that level. And I think that's part of what drove me away from the city in the end, is I craved people that were like-minded, and I found that there's such a big pool of people in the city. it's sometimes kind of
It's
difficult
hard.
to
It's hard.
find people to gel with.
Yeah, it's really hard to gel with people that you have kind of not lived in the environments that you've lived in. I was quite fortunate. A lot of people came from the areas that we grew up in, so they kind of they knew about certain places when I mentioned them. But there were an awful lot of people that were London based. London based.
Yeah, all over London as well.
Exactly, all over London. And that was daunting in a way for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to say to them. I
No.
don't know, like... there's one person that I will always remember, and she saved me in her contacts list on Teams. I was her IT guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the first time we had a conversation and I helped her with something, we got on. We had a really good rapport and we got on really well.
Yeah.
And she was a lovely person, and like asked me how my day was, if she needed anything. She would always ask me how I was doing before getting to, you know, like, oh,
let's
by
get
the
to
way,
work. Yeah.
I need something.
Yeah.
And as much as I understood it was like she needed something, it was just nice to have a conversation with someone. And yeah, I think having even those little things can keep you happy.
Yeah,
in a
keep you
job
going.
Like that,
Yeah.
In a London job, because even if you make a connection with one person, if that connection's
makes
good
a big
and
difference.
strong,
Yeah, 100%. I remember with this particular job that I had, I was only there for about a year, and there was a guy, Chris. I doubt he's watching, but if he is, I hope he's doing well, because he really helped me in that when I was really low. And I'm not afraid to say I had time off sick in that job, because I got to the point where I hated getting up and going in the morning, and that's when I knew I needed to change something. And I'm not saying that experience is going to be the same for everyone. Some people thrive on city life. Some people really love being around people constantly and all that kind of thing. And if you can tolerate being social 24/7, then the city life is really good.
You've got to have a real high, like,
social battery, be
Social
really
battery.
extroverted. Yeah, 100%. Or if you're just so career driven that you just want to chase that next goal, because progression in the city can be really quick as well. If you put your mind to it and you really work for something, then you can really kind of step up the ladder, because there's so much opportunity. But the thing that gets me is I don't like being a small fish in a big pond. I quite like having people rely on me. I quite like having people kind of under my wing, if you like, which is why I've always liked going into management roles and things like that. So I really struggled with this particular job, because if I went sick, it didn't matter. Like, it made no difference.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. And what I liked, ironically, what I liked about the job that I had left and then ended up going back to, sort of out where we live, was that if I went sick, it was a massive impact to the business. And I liked... No, but you know what I mean, right? It's like I like actually being part of something and doing something and making a difference. And making an impact on the people that are there. Whereas if I went off for a week in the city, in this big job, in this big building, some people wouldn't even notice that I wasn't there.
The wheels still keep turning.
Yeah, the wheels keep going, and you could work yourself to the bone and drop dead like that, and they would just replace you. You're just a number. So that kind of brings back to that balance of, like, you've got to know when the limit is and when you're doing what's right for you, versus pushing yourself to be this big city job person.
Your first job in the city is unlikely to be the first job that you stay in.
No,
because it's very rare that you find the job of your dreams first time.
No, almost never.
I mean, I openly admit, like, my first job was not the job of my dreams.
No, but you do it because that's what you have to do to get the experience.
Money.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
B, I wanted to just get out of the house.
Yeah.
And C, money.
Yeah, that's what you can do in it. So, I think as well, there's got to be a limit in what you think you can, or how you limit yourself rather, isn't necessarily going to stay the same forever.
No.
Like, you're always going to adapt and change. And we talked about this in the last episode where we were talking about things we learned when we were in our 20s. And a lot of the problem, I think, is that you think you have to stick to one thing, but you can reinvent yourself and you can change what you do.
Absolutely.
And it's taken me until now, I'm nearly 28, and it's taken me until now to start finding a balance of things that I love and things that I'm passionate about, including my day job and all of these side projects that I do.
Yeah.
It's taken me this long to start figuring this out. So if you take your first job in the city, you might think, this is my career path, this is what I want to do. But if that changes a few years down the line and you're like, do you know what, actually, like, even though I'm doing well, I might be on 50, 60k a year or whatever in this cool office job in London or wherever it might be. But if you're not happy, then evaluate that. That's what I would encourage, because the money's not always going to bring you happiness. Like, you've got to enjoy the day to day, right?
I mean, the thing that it always draws back to, for me at least, is money can't buy happiness.
100%, yeah.
And it can buy you stuff that make you happy.
yeah.
But it can't,
temporary happiness. It's still happiness.
But it can't buy true happiness.
No,
And
definitely not.
If you're in a job and you're waking up in the morning and you're thinking, God, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want to go here. Look for another job.
Yeah, it's not for you. You've just got to accept it, and you've just got to move on.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to think that. It's okay to go, do you know what, this job might not be for me.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the career path that you've always wanted to go down.
Yeah. It's
not necessarily going to be
the be all and end all.
be all and end all. And not only that, you can find another job in that field.
Yeah.
There's always opportunities.
100%.
There's always opportunities. And if there isn't an opportunity, create yourself an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly that. But I think another thing as well that kind of ties into the first job in the city is that feeling of imposter syndrome. That's something that I think is a big transition for someone who doesn't live in central London or a centre of city. So the actual definition I've got on screen here of imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort or skills. I always say, right, sometimes opportunities just fall in your lap. Sometimes things just happen in life, and that's just how it works out. And I feel like a lot of the things that I've achieved and where I am now in my sort of career and my projects and things, a lot of that is just circumstantial, and people that I've met and interactions that I've had and feelings that I've had and emotions that I've been through that have driven me to do these things.
Yeah, 100%.
And I do definitely often experience this. And I think
you've spoke to me about this.
Yeah, I think this is something that really plays up with me sometimes, because so in my sort of other YouTube channel where I do sort of car journalism stuff, I'm at the point now where I get invited to quite a few like press events and things like that, and I'll be going to these events and there's people there from, you know, the big magazines and TV studios, and I've met people that are on TV shows that I've been watching for years, you know, and things like that, and I'm just having casual conversations with them over a bit of lunch, and I'm kind of like driving these cars that are worth 80,000-90,000 pounds around a test track and stuff like that, and I'm like, how did I even get here? Like, I feel out of place because there's so many people who are professionals who know what they're doing, and how on earth did me, who I'm literally just some dude who just started making videos because I thought it was cool, and I'm now in this world, and I'm not saying I'm big and successful and all that, not yet, not one bit, but if I've managed to achieve that just circumstantially and just through a bit of dedication and just being ballsy and reaching out to people, then I mean, I hope
you got your first car.
Yeah.
So you got your first press car.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done now probably 30, 40 press cars that I've had delivered to me and filmed, and that's just down to those steps that I took and having this dream to start doing this project. So I mean, I hope that's inspirational to someone, but at the same time, it's absolutely normal, I think, and even like conversations I've seen on podcasts and stuff with big YouTubers and big film stars and things like that, sometimes they have this experience as well where they are just like, why me? Why am I in this situation? And what did I do to get here?
Yeah, 100%. I think, like, for us, it's kind of, we're on such a small scale at the moment that it almost seems like we aren't at that imposter syndrome stage, I guess.
No, I mean, not with the podcast, no. It's just something
with the podcast,
we're starting out.
It's just something we're just starting out. And obviously, like, I haven't done anything to your caliber. in terms of like YouTube or anything like that. So for me, the only real imposter syndrome that I got was again working first time in an office.
Yeah.
Walking in like an absolute idiot. I had a tie on, I had a shirt on, I had smart trousers and smart shoes on. And I will never forget one of the ladies that come up to me and said, "Why do you dress like that?"
Oh, that's not nice.
And I was just like,
that's true.
Looking around at everyone in like casual shirts, t-shirts.
Like, but you want to make an impression, right? And you don't know what
I thought office job, shirt and tie.
Yeah, you don't know the etiquette and
I'm looking around and I'm thinking, you got a point there. And then every day after that was just a t-shirt.
But you never know with that. A slight segue, but I went for a job interview once before where we work now. And during the interview, I wore a suit, but I didn't wear a tie. So I wore a smart shirt, suit, and all that. And I walked in and I had the conversation. And the guy who interviewed me was quite rude, to be honest. And he was quite dismissive of my previous achievements and stuff. And he sort of looked at my CV and was like, "Oh, whatever," sort of thing. And at the end of the interview, he had his feet up on the desk as well. And he goes to me, "So why aren't you wearing a tie?" And I sort of fumbled. I was like, I was thinking in my head, like, what kind of question, what am I supposed to answer? I was just like, I just said to him, because the other job interview I went to was casual dress. So I didn't want to go too far the other way.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you do realise you're going to have to wear a tie for this job, right?" And I was like, "Cool, no problem." Anyway, obviously I didn't go for that job. I got offered that job in the end, surprisingly, which I wasn't expecting. When I walked out of there, I was like...
That part always surprises me, the fact that you got offered
I got offered the job. I never thought I was going to get it because I walked out of there and he had been so rude to me and dismissive, and obviously that comment at the end made it seem like I was an idiot who rocked up looking too casual.
Yeah.
But he did offer me the job, but I turned it down on that basis because I was uncomfortable with how he treated me during an interview.
You're always going to be looking over your shoulder with a manager like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I didn't want any part of that, and luckily where we are now is nothing like that at all. So in terms of like the dress codes, I can see how you'd never really know like what bit, and there are a lot of offices now. A lot of the big companies, they do casual dress code, and they do like flexible working hour offices, and you just don't know when you're in the city.
Where I used to work was casual dress. I used to rock up in a like checkered shirt and a tie, not checkered shirt and a tie, checkered shirt and a t-shirt. And no one would bat an eyelid. We had one of our people that worked on the desk used to come in tracksuits, tracksuit bottoms. That was pushing,
possibly a little bit far, but
pushing it.
But you get the point, though. Yeah,
they used to come in the tracksuits, and the thing is, no one batted an eyelid.
No,
because ultimately, and this is the one thing that I will never understand about working in London. Why is it shirt and tie? What difference does being comfortable make?
Yeah. I think more companies are wising up to that, though. I think it's kind of an old-fashioned thing. You know, everyone used to wear suit and tie and all that kind of thing, and it is nice to be smart and whatever, but. Yeah, but I think definitely in terms of actually, I guess I felt the same thing. Like when I first went into London, I did feel that kind of same level of imposter syndrome. I think, though, because I'd had a kind of a bit of work experience and I'd kind of started dabbling with that, it wasn't too bad. But I definitely felt the odd one out because I didn't gel with the lifestyle. And like I said, some people will really gel with the lifestyle. You know, some people will like absolutely love it. But that's just not me. And I think, if anything, in that situation, that's why I felt out of place. But
I think I was always that fine line. Some days I'd sit there and go, I don't deserve to be here. Like, how did I get... I mean, I got that job through an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We're going to start throwing the mic about. I got that job in an apprenticeship similar to how you got your initial one.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for a lot longer. But the difference was for me is once that apprenticeship finished, I wasn't guaranteed a job. It was... I want to say I got the job off the fact that I was a hard worker, but I think I kind of got the job off the fact that we only had 3 people working there, and I was one of them.
Is what it is.
But I mean, I was thankful.
Obviously. Yeah.
I learned a lot from a lot of the different people working there. There's some really great people that were working for that company at the time, and they really helped one of them works for a gaming studio now.
Oh, mad.
Yeah, like they.
That's what I mean about the opportunities.
Exactly, genuinely lovely people.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, that imposter syndrome was only really with the big wigs.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Because some people do think they're a bit big for their boots, don't they?
God.
That's a city thing I found.
I've actually got a story. I will never forget. When I was working for that company, one of the head of my department, so I'm talking top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking the owner or
Yeah.
the CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
Then them.
Right, okay.
And we always got on. She always used to come over and say hello.
Yeah.
Very friendly, very approachable. Had set up her computer, her personal computer, with her work account.
Right, okay. So
And obviously,
it's your job to untangle it.
anyone who's worked in a business capacity knows that most companies will set up an account for the laptops,
Yeah.
and it will like lock down a lot of
Yeah,
features.
yeah.
Anyway, locked down her entire computer.
Delightful.
And yeah, I was the one that was on the phone, physically on the phone, like to the point where she couldn't call us.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with our department, like the top bigwig,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. How have I managed to get
How
into this
have I managed
situation?
this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we fixed it. It wasn't a hard fix in the end, but I'm sitting there thinking, I'm talking to the person who effectively has the hire or fire trigger,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
and I've just helped them,
Yeah, yeah.
which, great kudos points.
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. This is like, yeah, exactly that. It's not what you know, it's who you know. That's
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I'm well in now.
Yeah. Even in the city, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
No, 100%. But yeah, like, I will never forget sitting there after that conversation and fixing the problem, thinking, just a small part of me was like, what are you doing? How did you
Land in this position? Yeah.
How did you end up here?
Yeah, that's exactly what I feel when I'm on the track in a car that's like 70 grand, that's not mine. And I'm literally like hooning this thing, and I get
banned.
Yeah, I get back and I get out, and the guys from the media team are like, "Cool, how'd you find it?" And I'm just like, "Why have you trusted me to do this?" Like, why? I mean, obviously I'm sensible.
I could have written off your car.
Yeah, exactly that. And also the other thing that I get a lot on YouTube now is, so I work with a company that's a leasing company, and I get commission through them to do lease deals on cars, and so I often get, or even just emails from people saying, "Oh, I really need to see this video. Thanks for blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
I've gone and bought this car. And I'm like, you've spent 40 grand of your own money based on something that I've said. Like, that blows my mind. Like,
That is crazy.
I feel lucky to be in that position and for people to trust me with stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that gives me imposter syndrome, because I'm like,
Oh, massive. I can imagine.
yeah, it's like,
Massive.
why
It's
are
like,
you doing that?
You've listened to me just chat absolute
Yeah, I'm just some dude.
for a good 10
But then
video.
when you actually like deep it and actually sit back a bit and go, okay, I've got quite a bit of experience in that field now, and I've driven loads of cars, and and it's the same for an office job, right? Like, you sit, I've done 2 years of IT support, and I've spoken to this, director and that director, and I've done this for the company and that for the company, and then you go, actually, do you know what? I've kind of earned my stripes. I kind of get it. But when you're sitting there and you're just you,
Pardon me.
when you're just sitting there and you're just you, and you're just doing your normal thing, it's odd to experience
I
that.
think, and to touch on what we was talking about prior, and it kind of blends in with this. I think it was, for me, I'm authentically me.
Yeah.
I'm always me when I'm, at work.
Regardless of setting, yeah.
Regardless of setting, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
And I think that was what a lot of people gelled with.
Yeah.
When I talked to them over the phone to help them with stuff, when I was helping, like I'm saying, helping the director, I gelled with them because I wasn't afraid to just be me.
Yeah. And I think that comes across. Like people notice stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, they notice if you're putting on a front, and
Exactly.
you do have to be careful with certain jobs, especially city stuff, like because people will put on a personality to get where they want to be.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think if you're authentically you, those opportunities come up way
Naturally.
faster.
Yeah.
Way faster.
Yeah, 100%, because people gel with your personality, and you instill trust in them. And instilling trust in people is half the route to human connection. Yeah, so anyone actually, I think, experiencing imposter syndrome, I think the key is that you just got to push through it.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to say to yourself, like, I must have done something to deserve to be here. And even if you don't feel like you deserve to be in a place, you've got to take advantage of that situation.
You wouldn't be in the position you're in if you didn't deserve to be there.
No, and even if you're struggling with that concept, you can still get around that, and you can still persist and push through it, and
of course.
take advantage of that situation. It's going to propel you to the next place. Like, you're always in the right place at the right time, is what I think.
Yeah,
100%. And that's what I would take with you, if anything, if nothing else. It's a strange thing, especially going into your first big job or something, or your first big company, or your big career change.
God, yeah.
Changing careers as well. Like, if you go from one thing straight into a completely different field, that's bound to, like, be a bit of a weird thing for you. You feel inexperienced and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you kind of just, you feel like at the beginning you don't belong, but maybe that sense of belonging has to grow with your confidence in your, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
an interesting one. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, like, what situations have you been in where you felt imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Whether it's a job, whether it's a social event, whether it's a new place or something like that. I'd love to know what your experiences are with
tell us.
that.
And if you're happy for us to read them out in the next episode, let us know. We can do a little.
We can, or if you want to message us,
short snippet at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly that. You want to message us at twig.podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
So, dilemma time, baby.
Oh, hit me.
Okay, right.
So I haven't heard this dilemma, so it's Ryan's turn. He's going to read me something. I've never heard this before. What sort of thing are we going for? Is it
well,
like an advice?
I'll read the title. I'll read the title. You can gauge it from the title.
Yeah.
I tried not to hit on the guy that my best friend got in get my words out, a fling with. Am I a bad friend?
Sorry, she tried not to.
She tried not to hit on the guy that her friend just got out of a fling with.
Implying that she did. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
So, my friend and a guy had a fling, but it ended because they just don't click. I'm a mutual friend of the guy, so I never really knew him initially, other than meeting through them.
Okay.
But those moments I was with them, I kind of felt like the guy was giving me subtle hints. And when they were officially done as a fling, he slowly gave those hints directly to me. I intentionally don't respond, so making sure that I'm not reciprocating the flirtiness he started.
Right.
I want to stay friends with him, but I'm afraid he won't stop. All are just assumptions, so I don't want to confront him about it. It's still manageable to avoid. There's no harm since we meet virtually, so I can hide my reactions.
Okay, so it's more of like at the moment they're meeting on like Discord or Skype or FaceTime or whatever.
Like exactly.
They probably live far away or whatever.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Basically, I'm trying to ignore it and pretend I'm neutral or have no idea that everything's going on. Somehow, the resistance I'm doing means something too. I also kind of like him, and I can see possible chemistry since we're kind of alike on some things. But I still chose my friend, and I didn't want to involve myself romantically with him, so I could respect my friend. But sometimes it's so hard. I'm worried that the more I repress it, the more it grows. Having these moral dilemmas, does it make me a bad person? What should I do? Lose both? Or should I definitely cut off my friend or cut off the guy?
Cut off my friend? Oh, okay. That's an interesting one. I think probably one that some people have experienced before, like a sort of a romance within a friendship group or something like that. And the forbidden fruit bit as well. Like, she clearly wants him more, knowing that she can't have him.
Yeah.
Which is treacherous in itself. Okay. Right. So let me get this straight. So guy and girl had a bit of a fling, didn't really work out. The friend comes on the scene and she's like, getting flirted.
By the sounds of it, I think the friends known them while
Yeah,
they were
mutual
having
friends.
this thing.
Yeah. So he's then started getting flirty with the friend. He's like, that one's done. I'm moving on to this one.
Yeah.
Like, I want to flirt with this new one. Right. And she's kind of like, oh, I shouldn't really be doing this because that's my mate. But also, I kind of like this and I like this guy. I like this attention. That's a tricky one. And you know what? I think, it's tough, man. Like, my problem with it is that, I mean, the fact that she's considering cutting off her friend, that's not ideal.
That's mad.
That is not ideal.
That's insane to me.
Stop right there.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Considering actually flirting back with this guy and getting with this guy is a different story. I think it's a little bit dodgy ground.
Yeah.
But I can see how it could potentially work. But there's an overall lack of communication here. Like, they're not telling the friend what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
The way it was typed out and by the some of the slang, I think they're quite young.
Potentially, yeah. Especially if they're having, like, it's all on Discord or FaceTime or whatever. They're probably not able to meet up very often.
Yeah, I had to very much try and read that in my head.
Probably quite young.
So probably quite young.
Like a college thing or something.
Sort of, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's tough because if you want each other, you want each other, right? If there's chemistry there, people can't stop that. Like,
especially when you're like
when you're young and your hormones are raging and you're just going for who you want to go for. Really, you need to talk to the friend, because if you do this whole, like, let's just do this in secret behind her back. And then you come out and then you go to that friend one day and you're just like, cool, so we're a thing now.
That only ends one way.
That's disaster.
Yeah.
You've lost your friends. You've got to charge the whole thing. Like, it's just not. It's just.
Really do.
It's impractical. It's just
really
impractical. And your friends should be your friends, right? You shouldn't.
Yeah.
If they're really your friend, you shouldn't be screwing them over in that way.
No.
So yeah, I think there's some serious communication to be had there. I don't necessarily think it's a terrible idea, but what I do think, and I do think is quite a danger, is where she says she's avoiding the interaction with this guy because he's flirting. I think there's a little bit there, like, I see that quite a lot as well, where it's like, I don't know whether it's that she likes the attention in this particular instance, or whether it's just because she feels uncomfortable and she doesn't know how to push him away. Maybe a bit of both.
By the sounds of it, I would say there is an element of being uncomfortable, but I would also say there is an element of, it's more so she's not flirting back because she doesn't want to upset her friend.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing. There's always a reason, and I'm all about communication, right? I don't like someone ignoring me.
You are a big communication
I'm a massive communication guy. Like,
you big communication.
Yeah, honestly, like,
Call you BT.
I'm here. We've been talking.
Telecommunications.
We've been talking for an hour already. In fact, we've done 2 episodes.
We've done
today.
2
We've
hours
done
of
2 hours
talking
of talking
today.
Yeah. So for me, talking is my lifeline. Like, I need that communication. And I don't understand why people put things off and don't talk. And I feel like this is very much. It might be an experience, might be because they're young, whatever. I feel like they're putting it off because they know it's dodgy territory. And I've made some questionable decisions in my time, right? So
God, have you?
Yeah. So, you learn from them. Obviously, you learn from them. But what I have learned is that the key is to talk about this
Communicate, honesty.
100%.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Off topic, but I broke my granddad's £300 sofa.
Right.
It's a, you know the ones where you pull the cord and then the
legs recliners. Yeah.
You're supposed, so in order to get the middle one out,
Yeah.
you have to have the 2 sides out.
Okay.
I didn't realise that.
Obviously.
Pulled the cable, snapped the cable.
Delightful.
That chair has never come
Hello,
out.
DFS.
Yeah. Well, this was in Spain.
Oh.
This was when he lived in Spain.
Right.
So I went to my granddad and I said, "I'm so sorry. This is little baby Ran."
Yeah.
And I went, "I'm so sorry. I've broken the sofa." And his reaction was, "You told me. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just a sofa."
You were honest. But if you tried to hide it, I bet he would have flipped.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, rightly so.
God, yeah. I've just cost him 300 quid.
This is exactly that. But this is the same thing. Like, I think if you try and do stuff behind people's back, A, it's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
B, I think you deserve what's coming to you, because I think you need to communicate with the people that, and if you care about your friends, you know, if she's really your friend, you care about her, right?
Yeah.
So like, if this was you and it was a girl that you had a little fling with, and I was like, I'm kind of interested in this girl, I wouldn't just get with her behind your back, because that's gonna harm the trust between us, right?
It's gonna harm the trust tree.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, the trust tree. So I just wouldn't. It's just not a feasible option.
No.
And the fact that she said she was thinking of just cutting her friend off, that's frightening. That's absurd to me. Like,
I forgot that was part of the story. So when I read it again, I was like,
that shocked you.
Oh God!
Yeah, you've read the story before, you know. Yeah, no, I think basically you've just got to open up and be honest. I mean, this guy might not be worth it. It might not work out because you're so far away, whatever the circumstances are. But I think you just have to be honest and just go.
Be honest. Honesty is truly the best policy.
Honesty is the best policy. Yeah, exactly that. And
Even
communication is key.
Even if it hurts someone.
Yeah.
I think you just have to be honest.
Yeah, you do.
But there is ways of being honest, hurting someone, but doing it in a nice way.
Yeah, and working with them in
exactly that.
But at the same time, I also think that you have to be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations, because if you don't and you just leave it, what you're doing right now is you're encouraging him, because you're now the forbidden fruit, because not only is it his kind of ex's friend.
Just got J. Cole in my head.
Yeah. Great tune. But not only that, but also by her withdrawing and not flirting back, but then doing it a little bit, he's like, oh, she's kind of into this, but she's like, she's not sure. And then that's forbidden fruit to you. So you're pushing for it then. You're like...
And again...
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like you're all playing mind games. Just stop it.
Stop it.
Just
don't be silly. Talk to people.
Just have the conversation.
Just have the conversation.
It's going to be a tough conversation, but you got to have the conversation.
Yeah, I just think, you know, I remember reading it for the first time, just thinking,
just stop right where you are and think.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's hard when you're in it.
Something right.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in it. Though.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in it.
So yeah, dilemma resolved, I guess. In our way, anyway.
I mean, we've solved the dilemma.
Yeah.
I didn't reply to that, so...
No, hopefully someone else has.
I don't know how old that post was.
Yeah, oh, well, you know. Yeah. But anyway, if you guys have got any dilemmas, feel free to send them to us.
Please, let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to hear yours as well. Cool, so we're going to finish on a quote?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick one?
Yeah, go on. Let me grab the Mac again, because I can't read from there, because my eyes are terrible. Let's have a look at some quotes. Okay. This is my quote that I was talking to you about the other day.
Right. I've forgotten already, so...
Yeah, well, this is great. Die with memories, not dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's juicy.
I read that a little while ago. And that has stuck with me since I read it. Because I'm a big believer in live for the now. Yeah. Live for the now, worry about the future another day.
I think you're right. I think you do have to, if you worry, I mean, I think my mum's always said, like, if you're constantly worrying about tomorrow never comes. Yeah. Because tomorrow you'll be worrying about the next day, and then the next day you'll be worrying about the next day. So you really do have to stop sometimes and just live in the moment and just enjoy what you're experiencing. And I think a lot of people get caught up with that because they're worried about, what have I got to do? What have I got to pay for? You know, I've got to get a house, I've got to do this, I've got to do it. And so they don't just stop and just go, cool, what's here right now with me? And who's here with me?
The one thing I've always had as a thought is tomorrow is never promised.
100%.
So live for the now. Make your memories.
Yeah.
Do things like this. If you have a dream, do it.
Follow it, just do it. Try it.
Try it. If you fail, at least you've tried.
Yeah.
If you continuously try, you'll succeed.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. So just, you know, that sense of when you at a very old age hopefully get to the end of the road, you look back and you go, oh, I've done so much.
Yeah, I've made so many good memories.
I've made so many good memories. I've done so much with friends, with family.
And that doesn't even necessarily mean doing all the activities in the world or travelling and seeing all the sights in the world. If that's not your thing, fair enough. But whatever drives you, whatever you love, whoever you love, spend the time there, because, like you say, tomorrow's never promised.
Live, laugh, laugh.
No. That's no. The premise is good, but the phrase and the stencil is not. So on that very disappointing bombshell, it's time to end that episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've watched the first episode or this episode or both, we really appreciate you being here with us. This is the first time we're delving into this world and doing some podcasting. And as you can see, we're just winging it, having a chat with each other about some of these kind of hard-hitting topics and having a laugh along the way. So please give us your suggestions or what you want us to talk about. And also let us know your dilemmas. We'd love that. And
like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, you just got to remember, sometimes in life, that's just the way it goes.
It's just the way of the road.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.